The Case for Heaven, Near-Death Experiences as Evidence of the Afterlife by Cox-Chapman. This is a book about near-death experiences by people who've died and come back to talk about what they saw and heard. I want to start by talking about the common characteristics of near-death experiences. These are feelings of peace and quiet, being out of their body, going down a dark tunnel, meeting others like deceased family members, meeting a being of light. This could be Jesus or an angel. They usually speak telepathically to one another. This person is given a life review. And then they come to a place where they're given a choice to stay or leave. But oftentimes the experiencer wants to stay, but they are told they have unfinished business to take care of on earth, so they have to go back. Afterwards, these experiencers tend to change their lives and have no fear of death. The experience itself transforms their lives. Near-death experiencers describe heaven as a place with many colors. Some colors are unknown to us here on earth. God's radiance is everywhere in heaven. Love is everywhere. Experiencers usually describe their experiences in the context of their own religious backgrounds. Christians will identify the being of light as Christ. Jews will call them angels, and non-believers describe the entity as being simply a being of light. Now, I'm going to read out of the book two experiences that took place between Betty Jane Ramsey and Betty Free. The first one is Betty Jane Ramsey. She is one of many people in this book who went through near-death experiences. She describes her experience like this. My body was lying on the floor by the checkout counter, but I was not there. I just floated out of my body. I floated right up through the building. I could see the top of the building and the parking lot, the trees and houses, and my parents waiting in the car. I could see Greenville, Tennessee, as I went up over the trees. I felt this great peace and most exquisite joy. I was floating right up through the clouds and the sky. I had a new body that felt good. I was wearing something light and white. I did not remember Earth, not my husband, nor even my two small children, not my parents, not my sisters. I did not remember the past. There were not thoughts of the future. It seemed like a very slow ascent. Finally, I came to the most beautiful land, says Betty Jane. There was the most beautiful city I had ever seen. The buildings were different sizes, like a modern city, but they were all white. Although the buildings seemed to be made of stone or concrete, they reminded Betty Jane of the whitewashed adobe architecture of Spanish cities. But the light was different, she says. The light was soft, glowing, and warm. There were bells ringing, and these bells pealed music like none on earth in sweetness. There were voices singing. The music and singing were like all the old masters of classical music rolled into one, come to perfection. Everything was very clear, no smog or pollution. There were tinkling sounds, like running water from a fountain. There was a radiance like the sun, but I don't remember seeing a sun. Then I saw Jesus, and he was the most perfect creation of all. He was in perfect physical health. He was dressed in white, and he was more radiant than any of the pictures in which he had been portrayed on earth. I have been asked if his skin was black or white, and a strange thing is that I cannot remember. He reached out his hands to me, and I reached mine for his, but At that moment, I began slipping back down through the clouds, down through the sky, down through the building, and down into my body on the floor. The descent was with incredible speed. I began to feel as if I were in a soft bed with fluffy pillows and cozy, warm comforter. Such peace with no pain. Another experiencer named Betty Free gave her account like this. I felt my essence spin out of my body, Mary said. I felt the warmth traveling up my body, and then I didn't feel anything. The next thing I know, I'm standing before a beautiful golden tree. I knew it was all of a different substance than a physical substance. Standing before it, I knew that the light was composed of life. These shining particles knew me, and they had the option. They could be bigger or smaller. I noticed there is no evil here, no negativity. I felt very peaceful. I won a beauty contest when I was 14. Even without looking, I knew I was 1,000 times more beautiful in my celestial body. If you looked at it, the golden tree, closely, there were all these pastel shapes of energy. I felt like I could just call it life. And they seemed like they were smiling at me. All of these little individuals. And they knew me. And there was so much happiness there. To my left and a little behind me, he approaches me. You could call him God or Jesus. I call him the Creator. Out of reverence, I suppose, I am not looking at him. Later on, he has to beckon me to look at him. The closer he gets to me, the happier I am. He is beside me and behind me all at the same time. I asked him if something I had done would keep me from heaven. He laughed, totally without malice. Loving, welcoming laughter. He had humor. I learned that heaven is on hold for me. When I die here and go back there, I have ready access to it. It's exactly there, even if I have more than 80 years here. During her near-death experience, Mary believes that she was shown the nature of the universe by the Creator. There are countless other experiences listed in this book. If you want to further your study of near-death experiences, you can read this book and others like it. There are lots of videos on YouTube and documentaries on this subject. Thank you for watching. Bye.